NFL draft season is now in full swing, and today on Steelers Talk, we're going to be breaking down the updated Mel Kiper Jr. big board and what the top 10 Steelers draft targets are in round one of the 2024 NFL Draft, according to ESPN NFL Draft Insider Mel Kiper Jr. Now listen, guys, ESPN Plus makes you pay $11 a month for this type of content to view Mel Kiper Jr.'s big board, but we're giving it to you here on Steelers Talk 100% free. So instead of paying $11 a month to ESPN, do me a favor right now for free. Click that subscribe button right now for premium Steelers draft coverage all throughout the 2024 offseason. So let's start here with where the Steelers are going to be picking in the first round this year, and that's number 20 overall this year. So, of course, they were number 20 a couple years ago, and they picked Kenny Pickett. So could they draft quarterback again? Really don't think so, guys. Okay, so pretty much I think that right now I can only see the Steelers taking 3 positions in the first round. It's going to be a corner, it's going to be an offensive tackle, or it's going to be a center. The reason why I think it's going to be one of these 3 positions is because these positions are seen as kind of the priority needs on the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. And really, it's going to depend on what the Steelers do in free agency. Do they get another starting corner in free agency to go on the other side of Joey Porter Jr.? Do they get another starting offensive tackle to put on the other side of Broderick Jones? Do they get a new center in free agency to replace Mason Cole? Depending on what they do in free agency, you can probably eliminate a couple of these positional groups. And by draft day, we should have a pretty good idea of what position group the Steelers are targeting in round one. But for now, I really think it's coming down to corner, offensive tackle, or center. All right, so let's get into Mel's list here of the top 10 draft targets in the first round for the Pittsburgh Steelers, starting with number 10, Amarius Mims, the offensive tackle from the University of Georgia. He currently ranks 25th on Mel's big board, and this is what Mel had to say about the big right tackle from the Bulldogs. I included Mims in my preseason big board even after he had only started 2 college games because of the talent I saw in his minimal playing time and because of how college coaches and NFL front office execs talked him up. Mims didn't disappoint, though he got off to a slow start because of ankle surgery that limited him to playing in 7 games. If you could draw up the perfect right tackle prospect, it would be Mims, who is light on his feet and can deliver a jolt in run-blocking situations. He was incredibly impressive against Georgia Tech, showing off his upside. Though he has started just 8 career games, I feel good about putting him in the round 1 discussion. Now, when it comes to Amarius Mims, the right tackle from the University of Georgia, he is absolutely the number 1 most mocked player to the Pittsburgh Steelers at this point in the process. Of course, last year the Steelers traded up to take Mims' former teammate Broderick Jones in the first round. Mims is kind of molded in a very similar fashion to Broderick, so it seems like this guy has the pedigree and this guy has the physical skill set that GM Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin, we already know that they like, so it's very possible that if he's sitting there at number 20, and I'd say the chances of him being there at number 20 are relatively high, I could absolutely see the Pittsburgh Steelers pull the trigger on Amarius Mims. Now, personally, guys, I would rather get an offensive tackle in free agency. Now, this might be a little bit more difficult because there's not a whole lot of starting tackles hitting the free agency market this year. But if you can get a guy like Trent Brown, for example, top 10 PFF graded tackle in football last year on your football team, that means you won't have 2 developing tackles on either end of your offensive line. Broderick Jones is still somebody that's developing. I don't want to go out and get another young offensive tackle to develop alongside him because this team is really going to be relying on the offensive line next year if they're going to have any sort of success and compete for a Super Bowl championship. So if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers and I'm trying to win now, and I do think that's their mode of thinking at this point, I would absolutely go out and try to get somebody, an offensive tackle in free agency, so that way you have a veteran on one side, and then you got Broderick Jones still developing on the other. But let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Where would you rather address the offensive tackle spot this offseason? Type F if you'd rather get a free agent, or type D if you'd rather draft another young offensive tackle early in this year's NFL draft. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show, so YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question. Next up on Mel's list here for the Steelers is offensive tackle from the Crimson Tide, J.C. Latham, ranked number 22 on his big board right now. This is what Mel Kiper Jr. has to say about the mountain of a man there from Tuscaloosa. Latham is a mountain of an offensive tackle who is light on his feet. I really like the way he explodes out of his stance. He's tough at the point of attack. He blows defenders off the line of scrimmage in the run game, driving and sustaining his blocks in space. Where Latham needs to improve is his technique. He can be sloppy. Latham started 27 games at right tackle, but he also has played guard. He'll likely be a right tackle at the next level. So that's J.C. Latham. And now Mel Kiper Jr. goes to the inside linebacker position here for his top-graded linebacker in this year's draft class, Edgerrin Cooper. We've talked about Cooper on the show quite a bit recently. The Steelers seem to really like Cooper, and right now Mel has him ranked 20th on his big board. This is what Mel has to say about the Aggie linebacker. Cooper is always around the football, showing off his speed and ability to diagnose while working through traffic. Plus, once he gets to the ball carrier, he can deliver a wallop. He makes an impact on both the pass and run games. He finished the season with 83 tackles, 17 TFLs, 8 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. He has the height and long arms to cause problems for opposing quarterbacks. NFL defensive coordinators are always looking for consistent playmakers with tools to mold, and that's Cooper. So listen, man, I'm okay with taking an inside linebacker on day 2, but definitely not day 1 if you are the Pittsburgh Steelers. We already talked about how the Steelers have some pretty priority needs right now at higher value positions at corner, offensive tackle, and center, and I really don't think all 3 of these positions are going to be locked away and squared away by free agency. So unless you have all these guys figured out, unless you have figured out your cornerback situation and your offensive tackle situation and your center position by free agency, I don't think it makes sense to go Edgerrin Cooper in round 1. If he's sitting for you there in round 2, I would absolutely be okay with doing that. Now coming up here, more Mel Kiper draft targets for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the first round of the 2024 NFL Draft. But before we get into that, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use our code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 today. If you want to spice up your off-season viewing experience when it comes to watching football, baseball, even the Daytona 500, guys, you can start with Prize Picks today, which is a skill-based, real money, daily fantasy sports game. And if you're wondering how this works, here's how you play. Pick 2 to 6 players, and if they'll go for more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you can even win up to 25 times your money on any entry. And you're looking on screen right now of a Prize Picks for NASCAR, Daytona 500. Yes, they even have NASCAR on Prize Picks, guys. Anything that you can put these Prize Picks on, it's absolutely fantastic. Super fun to kind of be like an aid to your viewing experience, whether it's college basketball during March Madness or NBA playoffs this offseason as well. It's going to be absolutely fantastic, guys. Get in on the fun right now by going to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use our code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 today. With Prize Picks, it takes less than 60 seconds to make your picks. So get started right now. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use our code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 today. Next guy up on Mel's big board here for Steelers draft targets is Tyler Guyton, the offensive tackle from the Oklahoma Sooners, 19th overall on his big board, and this is what Mel has to say about the Sooner tackle. Physically, Guyton is exactly what NFL teams want in a future Pro Bowl caliber right tackle. The progress he made over the past 2 seasons under the direction of highly regarded Oklahoma O-line coach Bill Bedingbaugh has allowed him to steadily move up my draft board. In addition to his natural talent, what I really like about Guyton is the attitude and rugged approach he brings to every snap. He has excellent feet and agility and pass protection, gets to the second level of the defense with ease, and also can deliver a pop as a run blocker. What Guyton needs to work on is maintaining more consistency. He started just 14 college games at right tackle, so he's not yet a finished product. Still, his skill set and upside could put him in the mid-first round discussion. He did not allow a sack in the 2023 season. So listen, I know that, it was reported that Guyton really had a good Senior Bowl week because he came in, he had the long arms, he was moving really well. I mean, he's got the frame that you really look for in a potential Pro Bowl caliber offensive tackle like Mel was saying, but he really struggled in the one-on-one drills, in my opinion. He's somebody that got beat time and time again. His feet were in the wrong place a lot of the times. His hand placement was off. Now, does that mean that he's a terrible prospect and he's never going to get better? Absolutely not. All right, this guy still has extremely high upside, and even though I would probably rather get somebody that's more NFL ready, if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, Tyler Guyton has to be a name to be watching out for if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Then number 6 on Mel's list here for Steelers draft targets, Talisi Fuaga. Number 18, Oregon State, Beaver offensive tackle, hulking right tackle. This is what Mel has to say about Fuaga. Fuaga is the ultimate finisher as a run blocker, getting easy movement, and he more than holds his own in pass protection. He allowed just 1 sack over the past 2 seasons. He has powerful hands and can handle secondary moves from edge rushers. The more I watched Fuaga in 2023, the more excited I was about his future in the National Football League. He is still a work in progress and has yet to reach his full potential. So I really like Fuaga, man. Really good run blocking right tackle. Definitely somebody to keep your eye on. Now let's get to the corners here, because now that we've talked a lot about tackles to start Mel's list, he gets on a run of cornerbacks here, starting with Toledo's Quinion Mitchell, arguably the best cornerback at the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama this year. This is what Mel has to say about Mitchell's game. I put Mitchell at number 30 to the Lions in my debut mock draft, and now it's time to move him into my big board as well. He has been one of the most impressive prospects at Senior Bowl practices, holding his own against other top prospects. Mitchell is a ball hawk who had 6 interceptions in his final 2 seasons at Toledo. He's technically sound and instinctive. He didn't allow a single touchdown as the nearest defender in coverage in 2023. He has the speed and ability to close on the ball and jar it loose from a receiver. He's also a solid tackler in run support. So listen, that's a really glowing report there from Mel Kiper Jr. And the only question I have for Mel is, why isn't this guy higher on your big board? All right, this guy reminds me a lot of Devon Witherspoon when he was coming out of Illinois last year, where he was kind of being projected as like a second-round pick at the start of the process. Then he dominates at the Senior Bowl, and he just continues to get better and better and better, and he keeps rising and rising and rising up big boards. And I think Mitchell's going to be that type of guy this year. He's so technically sound. He's got the long arms and the recovery speed that you look for, incredible mirroring ability and off coverage. He can really fight with his hands in press coverage as well. This guy's the complete package, all right? And if he falls to the Steelers at number 20, I think you got to run that card up to the podium, because this guy's going to be one hell of a corner in the National Football League. Then we get to another corner here, and Terrion Arnold from Alabama, number 15th overall prospect on Mel's big board currently. This is what he has to say about the Bama corner. Arnold, who started 21 career games for the Crimson Tide, has developed into a shutdown defender. He picked off 6 passes and had 20 total breakups, as quarterbacks completed just 43.7% of their passes when he was the nearest defender in coverage over the past 2 years. Arnold understands angles and press coverage and is aggressive in rerouting wide receivers at the line of scrimmage. He has great speed and acceleration when he turns his hips. He's going to be a great pro. And I really do like Terrion Arnold a lot. He's got the long arms you look for, really, really fast, really great recovery speed, and he's played in a Saban-style defense before, and the Steelers run a lot of Saban stuff. Lots of cover 7, rip Liz, all this Sabanese that gets thrown around in NFL circles. That's what the Steelers like to do, lots of this cover 3 match stuff that Alabama has been winning championships with for years now, so he'd be a really good fit here with Pittsburgh. Wouldn't mind the Steelers taking Terrion Arnold whatsoever if he falls to number 20. Then another corner here, Nate Wiggins from Clemson, number 14 overall prospect for Mel. This is what he had to say about the Tiger corner. Clemson had a disappointing 2023 season, but Wiggins stood out all over the Tigers' defensive tape. He was impressive despite missing 2 games with a knee injury. He allowed 18 catches for 179 yards as the nearest defender in coverage, and 2 of those were turned into touchdowns. He has the length and recovery speed to match up effectively with any wideout he goes up against. Wiggins shows a smooth turning motion, good instincts in coverage, and can make up ground in a hurry while using his height and arm length as a major advantage. And I personally, guys, I love Nate Wiggins. He's got the long arms you look for, recovery speed. Again, another guy that has the complete package. I think he's going to be a number 1 corner in the National Football League. Really doubt Wiggins is there for the Steelers to take at number 20. Then another guy here that a lot of people have been projecting to the Steelers lately, which is Cooper DeJean, cornerback out of Iowa, number 13 overall prospect on Mel's big board. This is what Mel has to say about number 3 from Iowa. I was impressed with DeJean's technique on a snap-to-snap basis. He played in the slot and out wide, showing off tremendous speed to stick to receivers. He's just silky as a cover man. DeJean has the physical tools to be the top corner in this class, but unfortunately, his 2023 season ended early because of a lower leg injury he suffered in practice in mid-November. And guys, I really do think Cooper DeJean is the most unique cornerback talent in this draft. I think that he's kind of like a souped-up version of Brian Branch last year because, Brian Branch showed off great instincts in coverage. He was able to do a whole bunch of different stuff, Swiss Army knife type of player. DeJean's just like that, only he's going to run in the 4.3s in Indianapolis at the NFL Combine. He can play outside, whereas Brian Branch is pretty much exclusively a slot nickel type of guy. DeJean is a souped-up version of the instincts that we saw from Brian Branch last year. And listen, if you want to put him at safety, you can do that. If you want to put him in the slot, he can do that. If you want to put him outside, he can absolutely do that as well. This guy's a Swiss Army knife. Mike Tomlin loves those type of guys. If he somehow falls to number 20, I think he's going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Then we get to number 1 here on Mel Kiper's list, Troy Fautanu, offensive lineman from Washington, number 12 overall on his big board. And this is what he has to say about Fautanu from Washington. Fautanu really impressed me in 2023. He played 114 snaps at guard over the past 3 years, but the majority of his time has been at left tackle, where he has allowed just 2 sacks and 25 total pressures in 28 starts. That's on more than 1,100 pass blocking snaps. He is a hard-nosed, intense tackle, but he plays under control and has excellent feet and strong hands. He kept the pocket clean for quarterback Michael Penix Jr., who was sacked just 11 times in 15 games. I see Fautanu's future at guard as a way to best maximize his skill set, but I'm not ruling out that he'll end up at tackle. He reminds me a little bit of Elijah Vera Tucker, who went number 14 overall to the Jets in 2021. Fautanu's versatility will be a huge asset at the next level. So listen, for me, guys, I agree with Mel that Fautanu is probably a guard at the next level. I think he could be a decent tackle, but I definitely think the Steelers need a true offensive tackle, somebody with the arm length that you're looking for. And it's not that I think Fautanu would be bad. It's just I think that there's other guys that you could get in the first round that have the longer arms that you're looking for, that have more of the prototype build than Fautanu at this point. So for me, don't think Fautanu is a true draft target for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So coming up next year, Mel has 2 trade-up targets for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You guys thought we were done? Guess what? We're just getting started here. But first, man, make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you are a real one and you appreciate what we do for you guys here at Steelers Talk. We give you guys premium content every single day. So if you want to help us grow and tell the YouTube algorithm to push this video out to other Steelers fans like yourselves, do me a favor, click that subscribe button right now. All right, so now, trade-up targets. Both offensive tackles. Joe Alt, the number 8 overall prospect on Mel Kiper's list, and also Olu Fashanu, the other offensive tackle, that's number 9 on his list. So these 2 guys you're probably going to have to trade up to go get, but they're both pretty special offensive tackle prospects. This is what Mel has to say about Fashanu. We'll start with Fashanu and then go to Alt. He starts with Fashanu here, and he says, Fashanu has been moving up my big board last fall before he announced in November that he planned to return to school in 2023. He could have been a top 10 pick in that draft, challenging Paris Johnson Jr. to be the top tackle off the board. Fashanu has the size, footwork, and physical traits teams want in a high-end left tackle. He moves effortlessly with urgency, getting his hands on second-level defenders with ease. The exciting part, Fashanu is still developing. He has just started 21 career games and turned 21 years old in December. Then we move over to Joe Alt, who says Alt started 33 games at left tackle for the Fighting Irish, and I was most impressed by his technique on a snap-to-snap basis. He rarely gets caught out. He mirrors well in pass protection, adjusting easily to secondary moves from edge rushers. He does a great job keeping his huge frame between the defender and his quarterback. In his career, he allowed just 16 total pressures and more than 1,000 pass block snaps. So listen, my take on trading up, if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, is that if you take care of your primary needs or your other primary needs, so let's say you get a couple corners in free agency, you get a center in free agency, and you're good, and the only thing that you need is another offensive tackle, then I'm okay moving up to get one of these guys, and I'd probably put Broderick Jones on the right side, because if you're getting Joe Alt or Olu Fashanu, you are trading up for them to be your left tackle. And Broderick was actually really good on the right side last year. He was a really, really good run blocker, and really you want your best run blocking tackle on that right side, because I do think that you do run more to the right side. Usually right tackles are more of the maulers, more of the run blockers, all these different things. So I think Broderick could find himself a home on the right side if you decide to move up for Joe Alt or Olu Fashanu, two guys that I really I consider blue chip prospects at the position. And if you bring them in, along with Broderick Jones, along with Isaac Seumalo, along with James Daniels, and whoever they have at that center position, I really think you could be looking at one of the best offensive lines in the National Football League moving forward. Again, if you can figure out the rest of the primary needs that are still on this roster. Now, you be the GM. You be Omar Khan down there in the comments section. Should the Steelers trade up to take a top offensive tackle in this year's draft class? Would you trade up for Joe Alt or Olu Fashanu? Let me know down there in the comments section with a yes or no. Thank you guys for sticking with me today. I know it was a little bit of a longer video, but make sure you guys click that subscribe button for me right now for premium Steelers content all throughout the 2024 offseason.